Hi, my dear students. Myself, Anu Shashidharan, Academic Director and Biology Faculty of Rankings Entrance Training Academy. I welcome all of you in my new video lesson. Today, I am going to talk about Biological Classification Part 3. Do you remember in the last lesson we have discussed the characteristic features of Kingdom Monera come under the five kingdom system of classification proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Today I am going to discuss in detail the characteristic features of Kingdom Protista. Okay? You know, Kingdom Protista includes unicellular eukaryotes, mostly found in aquatic habitats. Do you know what is the meaning of eukaryotes? We have discussed in the last lesson such type of cells they are having a well-developed nucleus and membrane-bound organs. I have shown so many examples over here. Some of the examples are very familiar to you. Okay, amoeba, then Euglena, Paramecium, okay, Dinoflagellates, etc. come under the group of kingdom Protista. They have well-defined nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Locomotion takes place by cilia, flagella, or pseudopodia. Do you want to see cilia? Look, the diagrammatic representation of paramecium. Paramecium having thousands of hair-like structures on its surface. This is called cilia. Look the diagram of Euglena. They're having long thread-like structure. It is called a flagella. Do you know pseudopodia? Amoeba having so many finger-like projections, we can call it as pseudopodia. So all these structures really helps the process of locomotion. Nutrition may be autotrophic, saprophytic, or holozoic. Do you know what we call autotrophic? They can synthesize their own food materials like green plants. Saprophytes means they can obtain their food or energy from dead and decaying matter. Do you know what is the meaning of holozoic nutrition? Holozoic nutrition means the organisms they can engulf their food materials. I hope you might hear about the process of nutrition in amoeba. You have learned the process of nutrition in amoeba in lower classes. Then the last point, the reproduction occur either by a sexual method or sexual method. If it is a sexual method, there is a process involving the cell fusion and zygote formation. All these are the different characteristic features of the organisms come under kingdom Protista. Now let us talk about the characteristic features, sorry, not the characteristic feature, the classification of kingdom Monera. Dear children, kingdom Monera again divided into 5 different classes. Look, chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. The first three groups, chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, and euglenoids, together called photosynthetic protists. Why? The reason you are very familiar, these protists, they can able to synthesize their food materials with the help of a process called photosynthesis, same as in green plants. Slime mold, also called a decomposer protist or saprophytic protist. Why? Because they can obtain their food materials from dead and decaying matter. Protozoans, you are very familiar, they may be either predators or act as a parasites. Amoeba, Paramecium, etc. are come under the group of protozoans. So now I am going to discuss in detail the characteristic features of each and every groups. First one, chrysophytes. Dear children, chrysophytes, this group includes diatoms and golden algae. It's also called dust mites. Okay, diatoms and dust mites come under the group of chrysophytes. They are found in fresh water as well as in marine environments. They are microscopic and float passively in the water current. Such type of organisms collectively called planktons. I hope you might hear about planktons. Okay, the microscopic organisms which can freely float passively in water. Such type of organisms are collectively called planktons, and most of them are photosynthetic. So I have given two examples over here. Okay, two examples of diatoms, Pinularia and Triceratium. These two are the examples of diatoms. So I said diatoms are actually photosynthetic. Look, diatoms are the chief producers in ocean. Why? Because they can synthesize their own food with the help of photosynthesis. This is the diagrammatic representation of golden algae. Now I am going to discuss the cell walls of diatoms. Dear children, in diatoms, the cell walls form two overlapping shells. Look, this diagrammatic representation, it's actually having two overlapping shells which fit together as in a soft box. Okay, this is the most important characteristic feature of the cell wall of diatoms. Now I am going to discuss what is diatomaceous earth. Listen, dear children. Do you know the cell wall of diatoms have silica in very large quantity? So the cell wall does not get destroyed after their death and get deposited in their habitat. This accumulation over billions of years is referred to as diatomaceous earth. Is it clear? Repeat once again. The cell wall of diatoms we have seen is actually seen as a soft box. The cell wall is actually having large amount of silica deposition. So the cell wall does not get destroyed after the death of the organisms. After the death of these organisms, what happened? That cell wall get deposited in their habitats. This accumulation over billions of years is referred to as diatomaceous earth. Dear children, this is actually the diagrammatic representation of diatomaceous earth. It's actually a special type of stones or soils. Okay. Nowadays, we are using this diatomaceous earth for various purposes. Okay, first one is that it's commonly using for the filtration of oils and syrups. Being gritty in nature, this soil can be commonly using for polishing. Okay, these two are the most important uses of diatomaceous earth. Second one is called dinoflagellates. Dear children, these organisms are mostly marine and photosynthetic. They appear yellow, green, brown, blue, or red color depending on the type of pigments present in their cells. Okay, the cell wall has stiff cellulose plates on their outer surface. Most of them have two flagella. That's why we can call it as dinoflagellates. Dear children, very often one of the most important red-colored dinoflagellates called goniolax. It undergoes such rapid multiplication that they makes the sea appear red color. Look, this is the diagrammatic representation of red tide. So do you know what is red tide? I said some type of red-colored dinoflagellates like goniolax. Look, dear children, this is the diagrammatic representation of goniolax. Okay, this is a red-colored dinoflagellates. Okay, it's commonly called the goniolax. So this type of goniolax or the red dinoflagellates, it undergoes rapid multiplication in the water body, especially in the sea. It makes the sea appear red in color. This is called a red tide. Is it clear? What is red tide? Okay, some type of organisms, especially red dinoflagellates like goniolax, undergo such rapid multiplication that they makes the sea appear which color? Red color. This is called a red tide. This is a diagrammatic representation of a red tide. Okay. Then another important point, the toxins released by such large number may even kill other marine animals such as fishes. That means the organisms like goniolics, it can release some type of toxins. It may cause the mortality of fishes. Okay. The third category, euglenoids. Dear children, euglenoids are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called a pellicle, which makes their body flexible. So they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight. When deprived of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs by predating on other small organisms. One of the most important example is Euglena. Do you know Euglena? It's a type of protist come under the group of euglenoids. Do you know the most important characteristic feature of Euglena? They may have pigments like plants. Okay, that's why they can synthesize their own food materials. So we can consider it as a photosynthetic protist. Is it clear? So I repeat once again, one of the most important points, that is in the presence of sunlight, they can synthesize their own foods. Even in the absence of sunlight, what we can see, they can depend on other organisms for their foods. Is it clear? This is something about euglenoids. The fourth category is called slime molds. Dear children, slime molds are saprophytic protists. Do you know what is the meaning of saprophytic protists? They can obtain their food materials from dead and decaying matter. Dear children, under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation called plasmodium. One of the most important example come under this category. It is called a physarum. This is a diagrammatic representation of physarum. Okay, during unfavorable condition, what happened? The plasmodium differentiate and form fruiting bodies bearing the spores. Do you know, dear children, the spores are the reproductory structures. The spore producing parts we can collectively call the fruiting body. Is it clear? The spore producing structures are commonly called a fruiting body. The fruiting bodies are formed during which condition? Unfavorable condition. Okay, as a result, what happened? They can produce the spores, its reproductory structures. The spores, it can possess true walls. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years. The spores are dispersed by air currents. These are the most important characteristic features of slime molds. Okay, let me say the last group, it's called protozoans. Do you know protozoans? All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites, I said. They are believed to be the primitive relatives of animals. That means, in the evolutionary point of view, they are believed as the primitive relatives of the present day animals. There are four major groups of protozoans. First one, amoeboid protozoans. Second one, flagellated protozoans. Third one, ciliated protozoans. And last one, the fourth one, sporozoans. So I'm going to discuss the detailed characteristic features of four different types of protozoans. Dear children, first one, amoeboid protozoans. The most important example, amoeba. These are organisms live in freshwater, seawater, or in moist soil. You know, amoeba is actually a freshwater protozoan. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia or false feet that we have discussed. Okay, the pseudopodia actually present in amoeba. Okay, some of the organisms come under this category. They are acting as parasites. One of the most important example is entamoeba is actually acting as a or living as a parasites. Okay, second one is called flagellated protozoan. Better example is trypanosoma. Did you hear about trypanosoma? It's a type of protozoan that may cause certain disease called sleeping sickness. The members of this group are either free living or parasites. Dear children, I said trypanosoma is a parasitic organism. They have flagella. Okay, the parasitic form cause diseases such as sleeping sickness, I said. Okay, most important example, trypanosoma. Trypanosoma is actually causing a disease called sleeping sickness. Third one is the ciliated protozoans. Dear children, the most important example that is Paramecium. These are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia. See, they are having large number of small hair-like structures called cilia. They have a cavity called gullet. Look, this is the cavity. This cavity is called gullet that opens to the outside of the cell surface, which plays an important role in the entry of food materials. Is it clear? Paramecium as the most important example. The last category is called sporozoans. Dear children, this includes the diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. One of the most important organisms come under this group. We can call it as Plasmodium. Do you hear about Plasmodium? It's a malarial parasite. Okay, it's a malarial parasite which causes a disease called malaria. Okay, these are the four different types of protozoans. So I hope you have understood all the characteristic features of kingdom Protista. So we have discussed kingdom Protista divided into 5 different groups. Okay, I repeat once again: chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and protozoans. Okay, you have to go through this video again and again for better understanding. Thank you. Have a nice day.